Hi, my name is Elsa.
Welcome to Cool People, a series where I sit down and chat with some seriously cool people. This week's episode, I'm sitting down with Elsa. So, for some context, Elsa is where the Cool People series actually came to life. I met her through a client shoot, and I came home and spoke to my wife, and straight away said, "This is it. This is the concept. This is it coming to life. I know who I need to speak to." So, from the very start, she was number one. I'm so stoked to bring you this chat. And just a note, you'll see in a couple small sections there'll be a bit of blurring in the background. That's because we actually had this conversation right before they had one of their sessions. And then halfway through the chat, we actually sit down with both Elsa and Sam. Sam is partnered with Elsa on the One Bite at a Time program, and we close out the chat with them running me through exactly what that program is, what it aims to do, and how we can support it because it's a program that desperately needs funding. Enjoy! All right, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to have this chat with you because you actually don't know this, but you are the person that sort of sparked this series. So for a while there, I had a bit of a concept of an idea that I wanted to do. And then I came in here and did the shoot for the Northern Pride. And you told me about your story, your fitness journey, your dieting, your commitment to your businesses, your work with your church and everything. And I literally went home and went to my wife, "Babe, this is it. This is the concept. This is it. Like, Elsa's number one. Like, that's it." So I've actually been very excited to have you on because after that, it became real.
So
So
good.
I'm very thankful for you letting me in your kitchen and tell me those stories because I was like, this is the stuff I want to talk to people about. So welcome. I'm pumped. I know a little bit about you, but I'd love to hear a little bit of an elevator pitch about who you are and where you're from and your family.
So, my name is Elsa Lim, and I was born in an island called the Mindanao in Cagayan de Oro City in the Philippines. So, I'm actually a Filipino. I left Philippines and went to PNG, and I had a few years stint there when I was quite young, and then moved to Australia, the land of dreams and opportunity. We were told that at a very young age. So, in a way, I'm very privileged to be in this land, to be able to build a family life, and I get that was my motivation, is to give back to Australia and for the life journey that I have been able to expose and see, coming from a third world country, coming from like a Papua New Guinean, like another countryside, then coming to Australia was like such an eye opener. And from a very young age, my mum would always say to me, "You are very lucky. You're here. Your relatives back home don't have anything. You don't, you got to work hard and you got to give back." So from a very young age, that work ethic was very instilled in us. And then went through a journey of, school was a horrific experience for me because not only did I come from three different countries, but I didn't speak the language. And then trying to fit in and speak the language, and, got relentlessly bullied. And then I just found myself gravitating towards the not so cool people, the outer group, the weirdos, I guess. That's what you call them, the Nigel No friends. So I was drawn into that group. And from that, I just had the exposure of like real people, like who they were. Those people didn't really care because they were already not accepted. They were like already outed. So they weren't like wanting to fit in. And then I just worked at a very young age, hoping to get my mum to be in a position where, she was working 7 days. So then me being the person that I am, wanted to help her, felt that responsibility to us actually carry on that mother role of my siblings. So at a very, I think as young as 8 years old, I was taking care of my sisters and brothers, and that was my role, and that kind of clicked. I remembered going, when I get older, I'm never going to cook, I'm never going to be cleaning, I'll never take care of people, because at a very young age, till I was high school, till I left home at 15, that was my role. And I was like, nah, I'm going to be Miss Independent. I'm going to like not even do that thing. And it's amazing what a full circle. I'm doing the thing that I thought I would hate doing, is cooking and caring and nurturing people. So it is sort of like a 360 turn. And I just think, oh, wow, what a journey. Never envisioned this. So yeah, it's hard work, hard work.
When I met you in the kitchen and your business Eat Real, and something that really caught me was it's not just like a single lane of you trying to do good, right? Usually someone goes like, I want to help people doing this, and that's their one thing. But for you, you are so focused on providing good nutrition to people,
Yeah.
good food, holistic options, gluten-free, everything. So people have access to just nutritious food. So there's one aspect, and that you put so much effort into that. But then on the other aspect of it, you're doing support work, and you have people of all different kinds of backgrounds working with you in the kitchen. And I mean, when you let me in the kitchen, you had 5 people all working at once, plus me with a camera. Like, that's a lot of plates in the air to juggle, and it was really, really impressive. While you also had the time to tell me all your stories. So, I guess where does this where does it come from that you one are so focused on not only just your own nutrition, but providing good nutrition to other people,
Yeah.
but then adding in the layer of also providing sustainable support work. Like,
Yeah.
where does that start, and how does that sort of flourish into
I
Eat Real?
feel like if we actually step back and look at what our society has become, what we've been going through, I feel like it all comes within every single person in this community and society starts this group. We live in this place, we live in this country, and I feel for me, if you are good, then everything else is good. So if your nutrition is good, then you're going to be a better mum, a better dad, a better student, a better worker. If you're eating the food that is as good as you can get, I'm not saying just eat organic and all free range or not. Sometimes we don't have access to that, but eat as real as possible. Like, go and get your real chicken breast, go get your veggies, and you're cooking that or you're eating that, it is so much better than fast-paced food, right? Like, when we don't feel good, how hard is life itself amongst other problems, right? If you're feeling sluggish, if you're feeling tired, if you're breaking out, if your hormones all over the place and you're just reaching sugar food and you're just reaching, anything that's cheap, you think it's cheap. Yes, cheap now, but expensive later. At what expense do you have to pay for it, right? In a way, it's like, let's nurture ourselves so then we can nurture the community. That is food, that is spirituality, and that is taking care of one another. It's like a village. Like, I grew up in an extended family. So in our home dynamics, there was my mum, my relatives, and your grandparents and your auntie. You live in that commune. You help one another. You know, honestly, my family dynamic wasn't the healthiest, and it was very toxic, and there's a lot of things that wasn't right, but the foundation was there. So I feel like the food, yes, nutrition, feel good, you feel better, you think better, you're not feeling sad, you're not wanting to reach for, the alcohol. Then when you feel good about yourself, then I want to physically do exercise. It's just a natural on-flow effect, really. I have never met someone who eats amazing food and not want to train and be like overweight and go, nah. You know what I mean? They want to then start exercising. They want to then start putting all these things in. And then when they start to feel good about themselves, then they want to go, okay, how can I help people around me feel good? It's almost like the good news, the gospel good news in a way.
Yeah.
You find a faith, you see how much it does for you, and then you want to spread it out. You want to then help people feel that, what you're feeling. So I feel like once you're good, everything else around you becomes better. You're able to see things differently. You're not stuck in that really sad, depressive state because everything is like so hard at the moment. And that's what I found through all my trials and tribulation. I found that the biggest thing that took me out of that bottom of the pit depression was faith, exercising, and food. They were easy access, pretty much affordable to a degree, but it started with me making those changes. Yeah.
So, when I was in the kitchen and you were telling me about the program and the work that you do, another thing that really stood out to me is that you're focused on making sure this is a sustainable business first and forefront, and not relying on government grants. Now, you mentioned it to me, but I've seen it as well, and I'm sure many other people in the wider community have, where if the funding dries up, that program ends, and then unfortunately those people that were needing that program and using that program sort of left high and dry. But you said that you're focused on making sure that this is a sustainable business that doesn't rely on those grants. That really was like, okay, this is a commitment to long-term
Yeah.
support in the community. How do you balance the, I guess, the commercial aspect of it, of making sure that you can deliver to customers and making sure that you deliver a good product, but while also that laser focus on providing long-term support opportunities to the wider community? How do you find that balance of making sure that it is a business that, I guess, effectively pays the bills, but also with the goal of making sure that you're providing that support to the community that is ongoing? How do you find that sort of balance?
Oh, balance is a very overrated word to me. I say people freak out. It's more priority. My priority is to make sure I pay my bills and I pay my staff, and that I make sure that I float every week. It is really hard for small business. Like Baz, every quarter I'm paying $20,000 easy, and for a small business that's a lot. The one thing that has helped me to keep sustaining is my faith, and it says that sometimes I get really annoyed with all these money that I put out, and it says honor your governed body. There's a real scripture that says that you honor your governed body. Even though you don't agree with the politicians and all your tax break, you honor it because that's where your heart is. So before I used to be like really get annoyed when I had to pay all this tax, and I used to get really cranky. Then one of the other thing was wisdom and having the ability to say, hey, I need help. So the biggest thing for me was having my husband to come on board and look at my business financially. Like I did it solo for like 8 years, no help. And I struggled and I moved money around. And the other thing was surround yourself with people who are for you, that knows your vision, but who are realistic. They'd be like, don't do that. I've done a lot of business mistake where it was all heart and hundreds of $1,000s down the tube in saying that. But in every aspect that I see the growth and I see the potential. Like my husband goes, it's amazing. You see a business and it's like a rock and you're like, that's a diamond there. And he'd be like, that's a bit of a risk. And I've done that 3 or 4 times where I've ventured out and had that other business. And the other thing is also be wise, know your numbers. Like I've never really was honest with my numbers, and know your worth. So start charging for like the online meals business wise, it's okay. It sustains the staff. It's the catering and the event and then I was not afraid to like, hey, I'm actually worth more than $5 for a plate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and that was where I struggled with the most. So what I struggled with, I had someone that had the strength in that. So then we would talk about it, and they would hear me out like, oh, but I want people to have all my amazing platters, but at what cost? If you keep doing this, you're not going to be around. Look at the long term. You want to
Yeah.
keep supporting the community, you want to keep having staff, then you need to stop doing that. So one was being honest, one was open to suggestion, and learned that sometimes failure is always a good thing, and not being afraid to say, look, I really struggle in that area, and surrounding people that has the knowledge, right? And that you need to sometimes pay for that service and not be afraid
Yeah.
to pay for those service. And the other thing was my wages. I didn't get paid for the first 7 years, so I knew it was for the long haul. And I worked. I'm so grateful that I'm a workaholic, that I was able to find a lot of jobs on the side, that people that wanted me to work and get paid really good money. So that money came back towards the business. And I feel right now it's starting to pay off after 11 years. But that's because, honestly, the same back to when you're feeling good and you're good, everything else is around you good. It took me almost 10 years to realize the potential of my business. I knew my business. I knew there was something about it. But when I started feeling that I'm supposed to be here, that I'm doing a good thing, and that I feel good about my business, things have opened doors. Like even now, like I've been quiet and I have had hardly any money. I'm settled. I'm not stressed. I'm not like, oh, I need more money and then work a million hours. I'm like, all right, God, you've got me. What is this term? What is this month? And this month was about my own family. So we spent a lot of family times. I went and did a lot more. You know, my younger middle child is now into Muay Thai, and actually at this time she says she wants to compete. Now, if I was so busy the last month, I would have never seen that opportunity.
Yeah.
So now she's in that stage where I'm nurturing her on her own journey of her doing Muay Thai, of her now wanting to fight and now wanting to compete, and really talking about nutrition, listening to me now about eating, recovery. So yeah, I think it's priority. And for me is having like a wraparound support who are honest, that sees your vision, but not afraid to say, hey, I'm going to let you know now that's not I love your heart, but right now you're not in a position to do that.
Yep.
And who's not afraid to stand up to you and say that. So that's my husband. Thank God for him.
I keep trying to work my way through the layers of like where you dedicate your time and in sort of the areas, and something you've brought up a couple of times, but you mentioned to me in the kitchen was your commitment to the church and how much time you spend around that community as well.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how you have any spare time at all, but I guess what does that community mean to you? Still staying involved and being a part of that while you have such a hectic lifestyle.
That's my foundation. It's not that church. It's like you got to find the church that will nurture you, spiritually feed you, and you got to understand the word. So as a Christian, a lot of Christians go to church and they go one Sunday and that's it. And they're good for the rest of the week, and they do things that's not really good for themselves. It's like, I had to think about this the other day because I tried to explain to my daughter, and she's really into church at the moment. It's like you going on a diet and you're great for 2 days, but the next 5 days, you're drinking, you're smoking, you're not taking care, you're not sleeping. That's what most people who go to church. Whereas when you do a lifestyle where you're eating good, you're sleeping good, you're training, you're feeding on the word, that's the same as to me is what your faith and that relationship with God is. It's not about going to a building and listening to someone just preach. It's about your everyday commitment. So every day, every morning, I always say that this is what I do every morning. I said, God, just be with me today and see the world what you want me to see it, and what do you want me to do today, and more of you and less of me. Because if it was me, I'd be going to the gym every day. I would not seriously be doing this business. Why would I work hundreds of hours and my family would just support me? Why would I do that? I'd be selfish. But because I know that I have a purpose and this is what I was meant to do. So for me, church is about finding yourself, that you're grounded. And when you have things in your heart that you need someone to talk to you openly, and it's scripture based, not religion based, and I can go, hey, I'm really struggling with this at the moment. And they come with you and you sit around and let's read the scripture, what it's to say. But they don't tell you, well, this is what it says. They say, well, you walk away with that and you just speak to God. And what do you think? Will you just say, what is the conviction in your heart? Not we as the church, so you need to do this. Because that's your relationship with God. That's not you trying to have a relationship with the church. And I think that's really important, that you're doing, your walk of faith. Is great that you got the church as your foundation, but it's your own conviction, your heart. So the other church people think I'm crazy and I do all these crazy things, and they think it's like, I can't believe you do all these things, but they don't have the same conviction because they don't have the same life experience as me. Because, God really took me out of a pit hole to where I am. Like I said to my husband the other day, we looked at our kids and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that we have this beautiful, that God is centered, because 3 years ago we were about to get divorced. 5 years ago I wasn't going to marry you. I was going to be, and just maybe even 7 years ago I gave up drinking, I gave up smoking, all that sort of thing. And you see the seed, whereas my older daughter grew up in that environment where she's at. Life is too different. And part of my heart breaks because the two life experience she's experienced. So I see where the fruit is, and but then I'm believing that God is a God of restoration. So I'm building my relationship. People can't believe that I have a 23-year-old daughter who's very disconnected from me. So I'm building that gap because she sees where, oh, the girls are so lucky, they've got you now, really good mum. But then I was like, I knew then there and I knew what now. And all I can say is, let's build that relationship now. And that's her not forcing her to come to church. She sees that the church is being, she said to me, we had dinner for the first time last week in months, and she goes, you're so different. I said, oh, and I explained the church. She goes, I'm glad you found a church that really loves you and just accepts you, but it's not for me. And I was like, it's all good. And I left it at that. So I'm so grateful. Like, I see that, and that's where I feel like this is where my faith is.
Thank you. Because I'm genuine. Literally, I went home that night, went to my life.
You know what? I felt that because after I spoke, that's why I got so emotional. After I spoke to you, it was so weird because I spoke to you on there and I said to my husband, I had this really cool guy come in, and I said, it just sparked something because
the one bottle top, we were both like, done, we can't. And I was like, I'm done. And then I said to Sam, I said to Sam, I'm not done, let's keep pushing. So it's funny how you said that, but I was like, I'm the same. I felt like after I spoke to you, that made me just go, no. It's so weird, eh?
No, I was just like, I just couldn't believe everything you're doing. And it was just such a random, like, such a chance meeting, right?
Yeah, and
Like it's like
we kept missing each other, and
but
it was.
how do you like? Oh, can you just go shoot a sponsor? And then I walk in, and I'm like, and then everything you say, I'm like, oh my god, you are fucking incredible.
But
Like,
that was the day I was feeling the lowest.
man, you inspired me.
Well, you
Like
inspired me,
genuinely,
like
this is what it
seriously.
started. Like, really appreciate you. It was
So
yeah,
good.
it was such a cool chance meeting, and I was like,
It was meant to happen,
hell
hey?
yeah,
That
that
was
was
like
it.
God intervention. Sometimes God just does things to you.
Hi, my name is Elsa, and I am the co-founder of Eat Real, and this is Sam. She owns Family Focus, and together we collaborated and made a program called One Bite at a Time. This is something that we're really passionate about. This is something that we want to show people why it's important that we are around and the work that we do that a lot of people aren't seeing. So One Bite at a Time is really about connecting people to food. We use food as an avenue to connect, and we work with a diverse group. So mainly at the moment we're working with young people, and we basically have a day where they come in and we teach life skills, we teach how to cook food, budget, but really it's all about connecting with the people and their story and their life and how we can help them add skills to their own journey.
I think the background around it was that I had worked with a lot of young people that had come through the care system, and when they got to 16, 17, 18, headed towards exiting care as adults, we found that they just haven't have many skills. They couldn't look after themselves. They were essentially forced to become adults before they really got to that point. And depending on what their background was or how they were raised themselves, that's how we sort of came upon the idea that we would develop something that used food as a tool, but the essence behind it was that at the same time, these young people would find some confidence and interact with one another and go away with tips and tricks and maybe some skills that they can use whilst they're trying to navigate independence and living on their own.
You two are incredibly busy people. What drives both of you to sort of take on this sort of role in providing this level of support? Like, it's not easy taking it on yourselves to provide support that's missing throughout the sector, creating your own part of it and making that change. You know, not many people do it at all. So where does that drive come from? Like, where do you feel
I mean, we're mums ourselves, raising teenagers, and I guess, like we said, food is just the carrot that we're dangling. There's a lot of care and support behind it. I think that just comes from a need to want to help support these kids and help raise them. There's a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that these young people or any participants that come in feel welcomed back every week. Whether you come once, whether you come 10 times, it doesn't matter. So there's a lot of follow-up phone calls, there's a lot of ringing beforehand, there's a lot of nurturing in that, and I think, again, that might be something that some of these young people haven't been able to have during their childhood for whatever reasons. So yeah, I guess it just comes from a feeling of wanting to help grow them a little bit more than just them being 18 and or being independent really early. But more than that, we get a lot out of it. You know, after every session we walk away, whether there's 2 participants on that day or there's 10, feeling like that was a really good session. Whether or not we've made a lot of food, but just a young person opening up or a young person engaging more than they would the week before. So yeah, we get a lot out of it each week. Yeah, as well.
I think for me, my drive is mainly coming from, I think, being able to feeling that I never fitted into any box. So I came from 3 different countries. I came from a language barrier, and I came from a different generation. So the feeling of that you mattered. So in a way, I felt like I'm giving back to what I didn't get when I was quite young growing up, and having to like basically navigate life on my own at a very young age. I felt that thank God I'm so resilient, and thank God I have that capacity to keep going. But then I saw others around me that weren't able to. And then I've had great people, like I've met great people like Sam when I was younger, and a bigger, older version of me when I was younger, that kind of took me in. Actually, the kitchen was where I learned a lot of my skills. So together we made this program, and we see such a, there's so many programs out there, but we see such a niche for us because it's that nurturing side of things that we do on behind the scene, and that we actually genuinely care for the young people or the people that comes in, and the extended support, whatever that looks like.
So really, it's not just you've said it, but just to really come into it is like, it's not really just the cooking, it's not the one-on-one support, like that's very important and that's a part of it, but it sounds like that you guys are doing a lot of work behind the scenes, like creating those relationships to get people comfortable to come, because I think I've seen it before where programs, just getting the program might be amazing, but getting that person to the program is the biggest hurdle, where they're just not comfortable in meeting someone new, they don't feel like they're welcome.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that they have a value in that program. There are some amazing programs, like you said, out there, but asking somebody who has challenges behind the scenes as well to sign up for something, or to commit to something, or to run through a course for 6 weeks because there's a reward or a certificate at the end, that to us from the start, we just said that just sets people up to feel like they've failed because they don't get there the next week. We kind of understand that, so that's why we will make every effort to ensure that transport isn't a barrier. You know, as I said, you can pop in and out of this. This isn't a graduation type, program. So, and there are familiar faces. If we have young people or participants that come every week and others slot in, they're then welcomed because there's a connection there. They've seen them before, and they've cooked together before. So, yeah, I think it's that the foundation of it is that we don't want to set anyone up to feel like they haven't achieved anything, or they haven't graduated, because we will celebrate them regardless. You know, at the end of their day, at the end of the session, at the end of the time, and I think that's why we have a number of young people flow in and out, because they pop up and then they pop back down. But they're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we planted that seed too of that we care about them. So even though they'll come in each week in and out, and all of a sudden they drop off, we're still engaging with them. We're still, hey, we don't want to bother you, but we're going to keep checking in how you are. And if you ever had enough of us, just say so. And none of them's told us to really rack off yet.
No.
And then sometimes that is that whole shame thing where they haven't come continuously, but then we just talk back to them, hey, there's no shame, like just because something's gone off for that period of your life. We're still here, we're still standing here, we're still able to open our doors and our arms, and you just come in as though that you haven't missed the beat. They just basically waltz in, and there's no like, where have you been, what have you been doing? It's like, come in, let's get cooking, and then that's when they go, wow.
Sort of relaxed.
Yeah, I think they're expecting us to go.
There's no spotlight on them. You know, they can just slide in if they need extra care during the session. But we set that up at the start. And at the start of every session, the intro and the housekeeping and the plan for the day, everything remains the same. So there's that predictability. They're not coming into something that's going to be different every week or change. The other thing for me is that within 1 week, a lot of things happen for people. A lot of things happen at home. A lot of things happen in their independent living. A lot of things happen within families. So I think, again, with our backgrounds, we understand that. So they're all the barriers that prevent people from committing and coming back to programs. And I think if you understand that and know that young people have a lot going on, we're able to provide, as I said, something predictable and the same when they slide back in. Yeah. And they leave with bellies full, and they take food home and share it, and maybe that day that's the connection they have again with their family when there may have been a fracture within family that day or week. So food's pretty powerful.
It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Do you have any, I guess, moments that you reflect on of really special moments that you've had with some of the people that have been in your program? Any people where you've gone, the one that you sort of take home with yourself and go, this is why I do it? Like, is there any of those sort of moments that you could think of off the top of your head?
Every week, for me, I feel like every week there's literally every week, whether it's one participant, whether it's 10, we walk away and we just went, you know what, that was meant to be only one person today, because if that person came and there was 5 other people, we would have never known the other scope of the other side of them. They would have been more quiet. There's other weeks where our heart breaks because something happens and we see them falling in that pattern, but then we're like, okay, we're going to be there for them. So for me, it's every week there is something that we take away, whether it's the way we've done the program, whether it's just anything. Like, we just think, wow, that person, it was so good for them to see them smile and actually look at us and thank us. And then the next week they might not even look at us and they'll just slot in.
I think for me, we've had the opportunity a few times to do some events, some catering events. So we've given everybody the choice whether they want to participate or not. But each time we've done a bit of an event gives those young people the chance to be part of a team and deliver to whoever the audience is. And those few events, like, they've just shone. They've just come out of their, shell. They're part of it. They're working under pressure. They may never have had the opportunity to be part of an event or be on show before, and then they're thanked and people are grateful for them, and so that all those feelings of they just feel good about themselves. Is makes us smile, and they go home going, well, I was part of that today. I'm part of the team. Yeah. So those opportunities are good too, just outside the program, to offer. Yeah.
If someone is watching this and they really connect with what you guys are doing, they look into you, is there any way that they can support the program, provide any support, any auxiliary support around it? How could someone get involved to help you guys do what you do?
To be honest, we just need money. Sorry, but I'm going to be honest.
Donations?
Well, at the moment, we're not. Actually, we're just navigating the next stages of the program, because we have 2 independent business and we've sought, like, whether we become non-profit or not. So at the moment, that's sort of an area that we're looking into. But initially, we really need to be funded. So I guess if anyone's interested, they can contact us and we can then navigate how we can fund it. There's a few avenues that I've spoken to a few people about, whether they can support us getting as a non-profit or whether it's a charity. So that's something that we're definitely open to. We've got, this is our last term, and honestly, next term we don't have anything as such yet, but we're believing every time that something always pulls through. There
are a lot of grant opportunities out there where we could sit under an auspice. So any non-for-profits, like, our program does fit in a lot of different pockets around, youth, community support, healthy eating. So we fit under a lot of niches, but generally you need a non-for-profit to apply for that money. We can happily sit under that, write the grant, write the proposal and run the program. We just need someone overarching. That's another option as well. So, we think there's heaps of options for 2026. We'll fall into them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.